Well, today marks day 2 of the championships at Royal Randwick, featuring 4 Group 1 races, almost $13 million in prize money. It is a good morning to Graeme Hinton from Racing New South Wales. How good to see this sunshine.
Good morning, Julie. Sunshine is bright and out early here at Randwick as a hive of activity, and thanks for having us.
It is hard to believe it's been 10 years since the concept of the championships was born. Look how far we've come.
Oh, that's exactly right. It's cemented its place in the Australian racing calendar and really the global racing calendar. We've built at the grand finals of Australian racing, and there's an enormous card of action here today. We're covered by the world pool. It's going to be very exciting. So, no, it's been quite a success, and what we find now, it bookends our year really well. You've got the championships in autumn, you've got the Everest Carnival in spring, and it keeps New South Wales front of mind year round.
I love what you said earlier in the week, that yes, it is the grand finals of racing, but it's also become the grand finals for everyone, as we saw with the Country Championships final last week. What a story, what a win that was, and to see so many owners there on the big stage celebrating in that moment was incredible.
No, it really was. The Country Championships final, you won't find a more excited group of owners after the race than that one. They really celebrate. I think they have a big function on the Friday night. They celebrate all through the night on Friday, and there would have been quite a few sore heads come Sunday morning, but that's what they're in it for. You know, it's part of the ride. This week we've got the Provincial Midway Championships, so for your provincial horses and those eligible for the Midway, there'll be a similar scenes, I suspect, after that one. And what it shows is racing's never been more accessible. So you can buy horses with country trainers or provincial trainers or midway trainers and still get to compete on these biggest of days. And you don't have to own 100%. You might only have 1% of those horses, but you're still an owner. You're still celebrating as a winner. And for the fans who want to get amongst it as well, in terms of accessibility of racing, the Winx stand here at Randwick is the best public facilities of any racecourse on earth, in my opinion. So it's just such an easy way to get involved in the great sport.
Yeah, it is such a brilliant location. We were out there last week for our OB, and it's such a great grandstand. And speaking of Winx, what a week for Australian racing with the record-breaking sale of her first filly, which of course leads us to today's Queen Elizabeth. It is always a brilliant race, but it's been 5 years since we said farewell to the champion on Queen Elizabeth Day.
Look, it goes very quick, doesn't it? I still have vivid memories of it, and who could forget the bow with Waller and Bowman sort of in front of that packed grandstand in the crowd, and everybody here almost had a tear in their eye at that moment. But as happens in racing, we move on. You know, there's a next generation of stars coming through the ranks. You know, you've got a horse today, Orchestral's gunning for 6 straight in the Group 1 Oaks. There's plenty of a hive of activity in the next generation coming through, and plenty to get excited about.
And if you're sitting at home thinking of heading to the track today, don't forget to wear your Winx Royal Blue in honour of the 5-year anniversary. You touched on this earlier, Graeme. All 10 races today will be covered by the World Pool and watched across the globe. This has just been so phenomenal. The coverage, you know, I was watching online last week, the coverage and the stories that people right across the world are now getting access to from our backyard. It's pretty special to see.
That's right. The World Pool's been a great initiative of the Hong Kong Jockey Club, and what it means is customers from right across the world, so Hong Kong, US, UK, Singapore, France, New Zealand, Australia, all betting into the one pool, which means there's liquidity. So if you're going to have a Quinella, a WinBet, a Quinella Bet, a Trifecta, First Four, there's so much money in that pool that you can get the maximum dividends, which really for today means that there'll be some punters that hopefully jag a few of the big ones and get to have a great time as part of it. So this meeting today is the first time an Australian race meeting with 10 races, a full card, has been covered by the World Pool, and we're quite honoured to have that privilege.
Well, you like to keep an eye on the tips. Who are you liking today?
Oh, look, I might have given a little one away there earlier. The Kiwi horse, very short price in the Oaks, but she looks like an absolute star. I can tell you there's a few of us that got a soft spot for the Godolphin runner and the Queen Elizabeth Cascadian with the big white blaze. You can't help but build a bit of a fondness for those horses that have those unique markings, but also that have had such a long career and a successful career. So he comes up against some superstars today, but he's done it before, he's beaten them before, and you know, I think there'll be quite a few here cheering him home.
All right, well, before we let you go, we know that once the autumn carnival wraps, we move on to the spring. Planning is well and truly underway. And of course, the likes of the Equimillion event that we saw in its first running last year. What can we anticipate for Equimillion 2024?
Look, I'm glad you mentioned it. So spring, it does come around very quick, but before we get into our feature racing of the Everest Carnival, we actually have the Equimillion competition for the retired horses run over the long weekend. So we're looking to launch that in the next couple of weeks for 2024. Last year was a huge success, over 300 horses competing over 3 days, over $1 million of prize money given out exclusively to retired thoroughbred racehorses competing in dressage, show jumping, show horse and eventing. Never been done before, and we want to go even bigger again this year. And it's the showpiece of our equine welfare programs. We've sort of billed it as the Everest of the equestrian world. And what it is, it's about providing a market for those retired thoroughbreds after they retire from racing. The vast majority of owners do the right thing. They find a home for their horses. It's been happening naturally for generations. But we've put Equimillion in place just to add that incentive, ensure that that demand remains there. And it's been an enormous success thus far, and we know it'll only get bigger after we launch again this year.
And what's exciting is we've had some fairly big names in the game retire in recent years too, so we might see them out and about at Equimillion 2024. Graeme, thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate your time. All the best today for day 2 of the Champs.
No worries. Thanks for having us, and best of luck to everyone at home. Cheers.